Now in this video, I want to show you something that I originally recorded for the free Photoshop Virtual Summit 5, and which shows two ways that you can use Photoshop to match the colour of different things within a picture. Now there may be times when you need or want to match the colour of something in your pictures. It might be a specific colour you need to change something to, or you might, like I say, be looking to match the colour of items. So remembering that there isn't one technique for every occasion, I'm going to show you two ways that you can match or change colours. So I'll use this photograph here of me and my friend Steve Healy from when we took a trip to take photographs down at a place called 𝐓𝐡𝐞 in Cornwall, which you might recognise if you're a Poldark fan. Let's just say that I want to match the colour of my jacket with that of Steve's. The first thing I would need to do is to make a selection and cutout of my jacket. Now, I'm not going to make you sit there and wait whilst I do go through that. I've actually done one already, which you can see here in the Channels tab. So I need to load this channel as a selection. I can do that by either holding down the Command on Mac or Control on Windows and clicking directly on the channel thumbnail, or just go back to the normal layers view and go to Select, Load Selection, and choose the Glyn Jacket channel and click OK. Now we see the active selection. I'll hold down the Command key on Mac or Control key on Windows and press J to create a copy of this selected area up onto a new layer. You can see that now if I turn the layer below off and on. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is grab the lasso tool and make a loose selection of an area of my jacket. Something like this will do. It only needs to be a small area. Then once I have that, I'll hold down the Command and Option keys on Mac or the Control and Alt keys on Windows, and when I position the cursor within the selection, we get this double arrowhead symbol. When I have that, I keep the keys pressed down and drag the selection over onto the area I want to colour match, which in this case is my friend Steve's jacket. I'll position it around here. Okay, now that's done, I'll go to Select and Deselect to turn off the active selection. So now we kind of have a swatch. And if I go to the Channels tab, we can see that swatch in each of the red, green and blue channels. So now if I blend that swatch so that it kind of disappears in each of those red, green and blue channels, that would mean that the colour values match. So in which case that would have changed the colour of my jacket. Let me show you. So I click on the red channel, then go to Image, Adjustments and Curves. And when I do, the curves opens up in the red channel. So looking at the swatch, I need to brighten this one so it blends in better and almost disappears. To do that, I drag this point here on the curves and drag slowly across to the left until, like I say, it starts to blend in and kind of disappear. It won't disappear completely because you're kind of aware that it's there, but you just need to get it as close as possible, and I tend to find that squinting as I do this does help. So about there should be fine. And I'll click on OK. Next we need to work on the green channel, so I click on the green channel, then go to Image, Adjustments, Curves, and it opens in the green channel straight away. In this channel, I need to darken the swatch, so I'll drag this point on the curve directly downwards, slowly until the swatch blends in as much as possible, and again, squinting as I do it. So about there would be good. Lastly, we've got the blue channel. So I click on the blue channel, and then I'll bring up the curves, and rather than going to the image menu, I could also just use the keyboard shortcut of Command on Mac or Control on Windows and the letter M for curves, which makes no sense at all, but hey. The curves properties opens in the blue channel, and this one I need to darken, so again I drag this top right point downwards slowly until it blends in. And yeah, about there is good enough. So let's now see what this has done. I'll click on the RGB full composite colour channel, then go to the layers panel and double click on the hand tool in the toolbar to zoom out. So we've changed it to red, but we just need to adjust it slightly now, and we can do that by adding a levels adjustment layer. We also need to make this a clipping mask so that what we now do only affects the jacket layer directly below and nothing else. So I click on the clipping mask icon and we can see the clipping mask symbol now linking the layers together. Then it's just a case of using these 5 points here, adjusting them until we get to where we're happy. So somewhere around about here. So that's one way of matching colour. Let's now look at another way that we can match or change the colour of something. I'll delete these layers here so we go back to the original image. Now I'll change the colour of my jacket again, but this time, first of all, I'm going to add a new group by clicking on the new group icon at the bottom of the layers panel, and I'll rename it Colour. Then I'll load the selection I made of my jacket and click to add a layer mask. Now this adds a layer mask to the group, which means any layers inside that group are only visible in the white part of the mask, which in this case would mean only being visible on my jacket. Next, I'll add a solid colour fill layer. We have the colour picker now where I can choose a colour by dragging up and down on this sidebar here, and then adjust the saturation and brightness by dragging this bigger area here. Up to go brighter, down to go darker, left to reduce saturation, and right to add saturation. If I knew the colour space values or even the hex code, I could manually put those in. I could even bring the cursor out, which then becomes a colour sampler, and click on the image itself to sample a colour from it. In this case, I'll just click on an area of Steve's jacket. When I do, that colour is now sampled in the new section here, and we see it applied to my jacket in real time. But we can't see any detail at the moment, all we can see is the colour, so we need to use a blend mode, and we have a choice of two to use: hue and colour. Now if we use colour, that takes the hue and saturation of the colour that we've been sampled and uses the brightness value from the jacket, and we can then use the big area here and drag up and down, left and right to alter the brightness and saturation, and that might work well on most images. Or we could just use the hue blend mode where it's just the colour only that's being added. You'll notice then that we can't adjust the brightness or saturation from within the solid colour fill layer. Instead, I'll add a levels adjustment and then use any or all of these 5 areas to adjust it. And this way I actually prefer, because I think the result looks much more realistic when used on this image, but it could be very different on another image, which is why it's always good to know more than one way to do the same thing. Now with Photoshop being Photoshop, there are always more ways to do exactly the same thing, but I just wanted to take a few minutes of your time to show you 2 of my favourite ways. Now, one extra thing to let you know before I go. On Wednesday the 6th of December 2023 at 6 PM UK time, I'm doing a free webinar hosted by Calibrite, going through how to correctly calibrate your display and how to get perfect prints every single time, whether you're using an Epson or a Canon printer. Here's the link to register, and even if you can't watch it on the day, make sure you register anyway, because you'll get sent a link to the recording 24 hours after the live webinar has finished. Right, that's all I have for this video, so as always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up if you've got something from this, and if you haven't yet, click on subscribe, which really should just say follow because it doesn't cost anything, but it helps big time when it comes to the growth of this channel. But that's all I've got for you. I'll catch you in the next video.